Okay everybody, welcome back, or welcome if this is your first video you're watching, you haven't watched the rest of them in the series. I don't know where you've been, and you've missed a lot. Anyway, you may just be struggling with this part, which is all you need to see. So in the last video we mounted this little white diffuser into here, very gingerly, which came out of this part here. They do give you another one, a spare one, so I'm guessing they are spares. Maybe they do fall out. I should say, well, people are common to breaking them, or they're just easy to laser cut two rather than try and cut two angles out of one piece. So we have that now, and that was these steps here, the mounting steps, on which we glued with a little bit of glue on there as well. So now we are on to mounting of the light guides, diffusers, guides, whatever you want to call them. Remove the clear plastic parts off the panel and put them into the chambers. Use a pincer and be careful, the plastic may be a little brittle. Better to protect your eyes. You could have just said put safety glasses on at the beginning of this step. There you go. The light guides are designed for a specific side. On the panel of the guides, from the left side are the elongated light guide. For the indicator is the middle, and the right is at the end. So what they're trying to say, in my bad English, sorry, with my reading, is they're saying if you've got the left hand side one, the indicator part is in the middle. And if you have the right hand side one, it's at the end. So you can see that this one, that is the indicator part, which goes in the slot just above the white running light, sorry, the white running light here, to diffuse the light. And you get, I don't know if you can see, it's got like a little cuts in it, a little, I don't know, grooves, veins, ridges is probably a better chance explanation, that goes in there. So the little diagram shows you, if you're on the left, your indicator part's in the middle. If you're on the right, your indicator's at the end, and that's what they're basically trying to show you there. It's 9 and 10. So what they say is to remove these. So anybody who does modelling should have a pair of side cutters, or flush cutters, as people call them. They are literally cut almost with a knife edge that way around. So typically in a Tamiya kit, you would use them. This is parts, the other parts of the Volvo. So the idea is you rest them against the part when you cut, so that when you cut, you end up with the least amount of material to remove. Obviously you can just cut the nobules off like that, and then you end up with doing a double cut. But if I place that here, there, I'm not trying to teach you how to use side cuts, I'm just explaining why you would need to use these. So we can remove all of these parts. And as you can see, we want the LEDs shine through these frosted parts. I know they're just frosted deliberately, or that's the process that was left of them. So what they're saying is these can be quite brittle. And I think what it is these little parts here. Fall off, so there you go. End up with a nice edge there, and then you can see there is a slight there and there. So I don't know if you can see, we've got a nice, try and put it in something black so you can see it, nice clean edge. And what they do, once you've done them, you end up with the relevant parts. So this actually, interestingly, this part here, I have in my hand, I'll get my tweezers, I don't know if you can see it, there is a dimple in the top, like a little well, if you like. It's obviously to concentrate the light into a conical shape. So I believe that's that one there. But what we do is we get them all off. Oh no, there is a difference. That's that one there. There's a difference. Anyway, let's get them all off and we can lay them down on the diagram and work out what's what. You think saying it being brittle it would break, but they are pretty well attached. You really do need the cutters. I don't think you better just snap these out and get the kind of result thereafter. So let's get rid of these little legs. What we do is we get them all out, we line them all up where they need to be. And then we give them a final check that we've got them all. clean them up. This is being the indicator. It's interesting that they call them indicators. So many other countries call them turn signals. I think ServoNaut are Dutch. The fact they give you, oh no, German, sorry. They give you German and English instructions. So that's what you ended up with. Lots of waste plastic. So we have that part, which is that part there. We have that part which is completely cylindrical, so it doesn't go in any other way, is there. This part is cylindrical and actually has no other edges on it, goes there. This part, I don't know if you can see, has, just say if I lean it against my cutters you might be able to see it. Basically this edge is cut off here, so looking at their diagram it fits that way. So this one here again has the same little dimple in the edge, but if I rotate it, if you can see that, it is angled. The actual back part here is angled as it shows there. So they are the parts lined up as the diagram. We now turn this over. So the easy one is the big one, because that is just for the dipped beam, so that just pops in there. And we end up with a nice filled dome hole, which is why you paint round the edge. You're only going to get light from this centre. The next one is this one, which again has no other shape to it. It literally just drops in, and we end up with that conical bit poking through. Next one is this, and this has a little step on it. If you can see that in here. And what they're saying is that goes in this here. So let me just stick my fingers on this so I don't fall out. So the idea of that is it ends up in here, so that step goes behind the chrome part. So we end up with that. So working with that principle, the chrome part is now on the left, not there. That, using my tweezers, goes there. If I hold that in, if I can, without the rest of them falling out, it sits a little bit back, and you end up with a chevron or jagged line, if we should we say. So that is that one there. Next is this one here. Now the reason this has a cut corner on it is, I don't know if you can see, this part of chrome here sits up higher than this part. So therefore this part, when it goes in, as you can see, that's wrong. You have to rotate it, keep going round until that flat part drops behind that chrome part. You see? So that sits nice and flat. So if it was in wrong, it would sit too high, and the LEDs are actually designed to rest against these. They do protrude slightly on the panel to stop these falling out, which is why they are as long as they are. Now this one here, it's just a straight shape, but I'm going to use my tweezers to put it in because it's down quite a deep hole. So I'm going to use my tweezers if I can get hold of it. There you go. So that goes in. Now again, this does have this chamfered edge. So if I rotate this with my tweezers, you'll see if I rotate it that way, and if you can see that, it's not straight. It's up at an angle. So what I need to do is rotate this. I'll rotate it that way until you see it's now dropped into place, and there's an equal amount between this edge here and here. this surface here and here. So that is putting that part in. Yeah, we're 10 minutes in, so I think we've probably got time to actually get them into the lights. So based on what they said earlier, we have our hole drilled in the corner here, which is at the end of the pike, as they call it. So from that, we have mounting the side indicator first. Is the first step to the LED. Put the LED to the end of the enamelled wire through the drilled hole in the bumper bar. See picture 12. Yeah. Then glue part K5 and the K6, respectively K6, so K5 for this side and K6 but vice versa, whichever they are, in the way the LED emits through the small hole, which is the hole I'll show you. I'm not going to glue mine on because I need to paint this before I can put it on the car. I'll put it on the truck, sorry. This part is then put into the clear cover and then glued into the bumper bar described as in the assembly manual. So as per the manual, the Tamiya manual states. So, working on that, you get quite a bit of wire on this. We need to pop this through that hole. So let's move this out of the way. Move my wires around so they're not in the way. So we have that. So what they're saying in the instructions is we drilled this hole earlier through this hole. So we drilled a 1mm from the back, then a 1.8 from the front, and this LED is 1.8 in size. So that here will go up through that hole and poke out. So what will end up is this part here, when it's glued on with the clear cover that goes over it, which is this, excuse me, this part here. This LED comes all the way back, all the way back, all the way back, all the way back until it sits just there. So what it will do is it will light up backwards into the little bit of plastic I've lost there, that part. So it will light up into this surface. So when that is on there and that is glued and that is in place and the LED's there, I don't know if you can see, the little LED ends up in its hole there. So that ends up like that. So what I will do for the minute is I shall take my parts off, because you can put these on afterwards. I'll just show you what they look like. So based on that, we now have that. So mounting the light insert and PCB, the enamelled wire, that's what that wire is called, is put between the light insert and the screw shown in the terminal. So what they're saying is the actual enamelled wire, excuse me, my phone is doing weird things, it's stuttering on me here, comes under here, it comes under here, and it actually goes between these posts, because we're going to put screws through these posts, so you don't want to catch your little enamelled wire. That would be a very bad idea. As in the picture 13, so here you can see it sits through the hole behind the diffuser, up round between them two posts, like between that part there. It'd be better to show it in this manual. Up around there, so when this goes on top, it ends up screws through here, so through the chrome part into the back, and then we're there. The PCB and light insert are then screwed into the bumper bar. I don't know why they call this a bumper bar. To me, it's the front of the truck. Excuse me 1 second, I just need to fix my camera. There may be some wobbling. So, we're back. Hopefully that hasn't caused too much of a blip on the video. If not, I'll slice it out. So, into the bumper bar using the M2 by 12mm screw for the top hole and an M2 by 10mm screw for the bottom holes. make sure the light insert does not move towards the center of the bumper bar. So make sure the whole thing doesn't move that way. See picture 14. So what they're saying is push it all the way to the edge, and then that screw should go and line up and go through and go through. Then tighten the screws. The pressure may be on the LEDs at the front of the PCB. So what they're saying is the LED, this little bar here, is actually going to put pressure on these here, but that is normal. So just tighten it up in sequence, bit at the top, bit at the bottom, bit at the top, bit at the bottom. Tip: use a 9-volt battery is ideal for testing purposes. So testing is connecting these wires up, but we've already done a little sneak peek test. So based on what they're saying, if we have our wire through there, we need to get it so it comes up here, so that when we drop this in without all the little bits in that we put in place. So this, they don't show you to tell you to put this in first, but this does actually go in first. And by the way, this is supposed to have a gap down here. This is some kind of aerodynamic thing that Volvo do. The air comes through here, through this chamber, and comes out the big gap between this panel and the edge of the door. It's like a aerodynamics thing, so it lets the air travel through rather than have to go around the track. Anyway, I digress. So that then sits in here. And as I say, making sure this enamelled wire is between these two posts. So I've just lifted mine slightly. So he sits there like that. Then this part here goes on here. Now what they were saying in the manual is that when you get this on, it should sit on here. So those screw holes in the PCB need to line up with the screw holes in the chrome part. What they're saying is you want to get it so it's over here as much as possible. So in the manual they show you giving it a shove that way. And what they're saying is there will be some pressure. Now I can actually feel these, it's sliding around, which is the LEDs on the back of here pushing against those little diffuser parts. So the screws they give you are here. So since we have one hole at the top and two at the bottom, we should have two 12mm and four 10mm. If you end up putting in the wrong holes in the wrong place, you're going to soon you're going to run out of 12mm, because there is only two of them. So that's the top and that's the bottom. Logically, you can't have two 12mm at the bottom because there isn't any. And these are a crosshead. So we have our small crosshead here. So as I'm saying, put this in, drop it in so it goes into the chrome part. Into the chrome part. That will keep those back parts lined up. Check your enamelled wire is not in the way. Pop him in through there. Now, that goes onto there. That has got to go. So if you can see, the reason they say to move it over is I put those screws in and they can quite easily drop past the mount. So my wire is underneath my light now, but it's fine, it's not going anywhere. The crucial thing is to look after that. So this part here, this screw is not going anywhere, because what I've done is I've come through, if you can see, I've missed the little part there. So what I'm going to do to save all this falling apart, disappearing, is just get this bottom one a start. And this one a little bit, just so they're biting, just so they don't fall off. Then I can lift this over and say this edge should nicely be lined up with there. Now you can see my screw. If you can see, my screw is now lifted. Before it was dropping right through. So that would suggest that that screw is now in line with that little part it needs to screw into. So, like I was saying, start your screws until you can feel them touching the circuit board. Like that. Okay, so there's a little enamelled wire poking out, and there are lights in. So when you're tightening these, they should tighten snug, but literally just tighten to the stop, tighten till stop, tighten. That one needs a little bit more. That's it. You ever want to under torque your screwdriver rather than using the handle, you have more purpose on, use your fingers close to the tip around here and grip it. You'll find you have less chance of twisting the blade, therefore you can't overstrip the screw. Just that thing. So we end up with that. And what I'll do is I'll bring this back a little bit, just so it's just poking out the hole. And that is your light in. So you can see there's a bit of black fluff and dust in there that needs cleaning off, and annoyingly those little bits we put in the lenses, all of them rattle. I believe it didn't say to glue them. Nope, put them in the holes. And I've tightened the screws now. I could try and give the screws another tweak to see if it takes away the rattle, but I do have to take this all apart again to paint it. So what I might do is, once I've done it, being as this poly cement is normally okay for gluing windows and stuff in a truck, I would use that on there. Right, I need to cut this video off because I'm getting over 20 minutes. So the next video is I should do a quick power up and maybe turn my light off, and we'll see what they look like through the lenses. Catch you in a minute.